the 25, breaks a couple of tackles, and look at him go! He could go all the way! Touchdown!
Winning is not something, it's an always. Winning is a habit.
What's up, sports fans? Welcome back to another episode of Gut Check Podcast. We are back from a brief hiatus because Seth Floyd Hansen had to take some time off for, I guess, an important reason. But back as always, good friend co-host Seth Floyd Hansen. Welcome back. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my wife had the baby. So about the time on, I don't know if we'd scheduled to record that day, but one of the days we normally were set to record, she selfishly decided that, hey, I'm gonna have a baby. So
well, not only that, it was the day of the schedule release.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, that's true. That was also selfish of her. To be fair, it kind of worked out because we were in the hospital for so long, and then the schedule release happened. So like I had plenty to occupy me while the wife and the baby slept. I had plenty to look at because they did a lot of sleeping, as they should. I forgot how much like newborn sleep. It's when they at least both of mine have, and then as they get like a month or two, then they stop sleeping, which is unfortunate. But yeah. But
glad we're taken care of, and glad you had everything you needed for that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I was taken care of, that's all we really care about. But no, everything's great. Little man's doing awesome. It's wild having two kids now, but it's keeping me busy, which is good. So, and we just last day of school, so was today, so I'm gonna have a lot of time to hang out with the fam, and I'm looking forward to it, all that quality time. So
exciting, man. That's exciting, and of course, more time for the podcast now. So now we get to talk the NFL schedule release, couple of weeks late, but some more time to digest. So obviously we'll jump into the 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys, how we're feeling about those schedules, kind of our takeaways and predictions. We won't get too in-depth for the whole season predictions. We'll save that for later episodes. But we'll give you some takeaways with the NFC, AFC, what we think about it. So without further ado, man, 49ers coming off obviously a disappointing year last year, injury-prone per usual, but Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are fired up with this new quarterback. How you feeling?
The schedule makers did us a real solid. That's for dang sure. I think the one thing I read was the NFL was just being cautious. They want all games to be played with like full capacity. Like that's what they're shooting for. And we know that Santa Clara has been one of the cities that has been one of the toughest as far as willing to kind of do that. At least they weren't going to be the first. So they do start with 2 road games, and a lot of people think that's why was to give them more time. But then Levi Stadium already came out and announced they're going to allow full capacity. So that's exciting. But man, throwing us a bone, Detroit Lions week 1. I'm very excited for that. I can't imagine. Like my wife was asking me about it while we were in the hospital, by the way. I gave her everything she needed to know about the schedule. And I was
without her asking, I'm sure.
Without her asking, she's probably half asleep. And I just was telling her, like, look, if the 49ers drop game 1 to the Lions in Detroit, like, I'm going to be devastated.
Season's over.
It will feel like last year because, like, last year we lost to the Cardinals week 1. And we were in control that whole game, and then like the fourth quarter got away from us, and all of a sudden we lost, and that was like pretty like shocking. This would be even more shocking, obviously, because the Cardinals are a better team than the Lions. But it always feels good to come up with the week 1 victory if you can get it. So I like our prospects. We then go to Philly, which could be it'll be tougher than Detroit. Mm-hmm. I kind of have this weird feeling, Matt. I have this weird feeling that the Eagles are going to end up with Deshaun Watson. And I have this weird feeling that Deshaun Watson, his thing isn't going to be deposed, or he won't be deposed, or whatever the language is, until after the season. I don't know if you read that. Yeah. I kind of have this feeling there's a chance he's going to play some football this year.
Okay.
I know the NFL is.
I think it's going to be at Philly, huh?
I'm just saying they. I think they would have taken a quarterback if one had fallen to them. I think that I don't think they're bought into Jalen Hurts. And I think they're fine riding with him this year. But I think if Deshaun Watson was available, that they would go get him. And I know the NFL and Roger Goodell are at liberty to suspend somebody just for making the league look bad, which I don't know how that definition works to Deshaun if you think he's falsely accused or whatever. But clearly, it's brought some negative attention to the NFL. So maybe he'll get suspended. But I don't know, man. Anyway, barring a Deshaun Watson trade, like I also feel pretty good about going to the Eagles week 2. So
So just on those two games, right? Detroit is a pretty bad team, right? They're probably not going to finish above 500. I think the Jared Goff aspect is a little interesting. He's familiar with playing the 49ers. He's not a schmuck necessarily, right? So he's won some games. He's been to the Super Bowl. I think that aspect is a little interesting. So it could be a difficult game for the 49ers. I would still give the edge to the 49ers. And I think, if I read correctly, the 49ers were actually the biggest week 1 favorite of any game, and that's +7 over Detroit.
And they're on the road too, which doesn't bode well for Detroit, but the fact that we're favored so heavily. But you're right, Goff has played the 49ers a lot. He's lost 4 in a row though, and the 49ers have absolutely owned him. I bet you Goff was pissed when he saw the schedule week 1. He was like, I freaking have to play them again. Anyway, so
do you know how often the 49ers have opened their season against Detroit?
I know that isn't it 2 other times?
Yeah.
And both those times they won the Super Bowl.
1981 and 1984. I thought you'd appreciate that.
Did it say they both were in Detroit too? You don't have to if you don't know.
I think I have it right here. Yeah, both in Detroit.
Wow. So
put the
confirmed.
money now.
Yeah, it's confirmed. They're gonna win. They're gonna win it. Yeah.
The Philly theory is interesting. They did have Justin Fields fall to them. They did that trade.
That's right. You're right.
With the Cowboys. So they could have gotten Justin Fields if they wanted to, even without trading. But I still, I can sort of buy in that they may not be all in on Jalen Hurts. And especially if Deshaun Watson is somehow available. Their GM just came from Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that connection there. It'd be interesting. So that could be, with Deshaun Watson, that's a pretty good team. The rest of that, first 5 games though. So the 49ers get the week 6 bye, which I think is pretty early, especially even earlier now with the 17th game. But I was looking at that first 5 stretch. Yeah, you could start 2-0, but then you could drop the next 3 going into a bye.
Well,
2 and 3. I mean, none of them's like for sure thing. Green Bay may not have Aaron Rodgers, right? So you could win that game.
Yeah, they don't have Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
Who knows? But Seattle's always tough, and then at Arizona, 2 division games back to back. If you're 2 and 3 going into the bye, you're definitely thankful for the bye, having lost a potential 3 in a row. But I think that's kind of a tough slate to be below 500 and into an early bye.
So I would probably say that's probably the toughest stretch. I don't know though. After the bye, they do have a tough stretch. After the bye, they go Indianapolis, Chicago. Depending on how you feel about Chicago, I think that they're kind of a wild card in how good you think they're really going to be. But then Arizona and then the Rams again, or then the Rams. So that's not an easy stretch either. But it's lucky that you get Indianapolis on Sunday night after the bye week, which is good, right? After the bye week.
Yeah.
And then you get the Rams on Monday night, which is cool. So I don't know. Those are the 2 tough stretches. Here's the thing about the Niners. Like we all know, I'm very confident in the Niners when they can stay healthy. Part of that's because I think the roster's pretty good. It's not the best roster in the league, but it's pretty good. And then with Coach Shanahan, like when he has dudes, like he's proven, like, hey, we can go to the Super Bowl. We took a team to the Super Bowl, so I feel very confident this season. I don't feel like any games where, as I go through the schedule, where I'm like, we're not going to win that one. Yeah. But there's only a couple games like Detroit and possibly Philly where I'm like, all right, that's a dub. Like it feels like that should be a W, and I'll be disappointed if not. The Jacksonville game feels that way. We also get Cincinnati, like that feels that way. We also get the Texans. That feels that way. But everything else really is kind of like, look, I'm confident. I don't think there's any games we're getting blown out in, but you just don't know because there are some really good teams on there. Finish week 18. We get the Rams very end of the season. That could be fun because that could end up being for the NFC West, depending on how the rest of the season goes. So I don't know, man. Like, I feel pretty good. I think the other one, and then we can jump it over. You can give me some of your thoughts. Is the most intriguing game that is going to be huge is week 16, December 23rd, the night before Christmas Eve. We go to Tennessee, and that's
like that one.
That's going to be a tough one. That one is going to be tough. Yeah, it's because it's going to be cold. It's cold in Nashville that time of year. And obviously a team, a good, very solid, stout team that runs the ball very well. And with all these Julio Jones rumors coming around, that could go from a really tough game to could be a holy crap, we are up against it kind of game. So those were some of the ones that stuck out to me. But overall, man, I feel like the league did us some favors. So.
Yeah, I think looking at it, the hardest thing I saw there was just that early bye, which could really go one of two ways, right? Like if they're rolling, they're 5-0, that bye may hurt them. It may help them if they, have a slow start and they need that extra week to kind of recover.
Sure.
And then looking at it, we talked before we hopped on here, strength of schedule. Most people have the 49ers around like the 19th hardest or, almost one of the easier ones. And then some adjusted measures, kind of looking out at projections, actually have the 49ers at the easiest schedule in the league, which I think bodes well. I mean, part of that is because they finished last in their division, which means they match up with other last place teams. Yeah. Naturally, it makes them a little bit easier.
Sure.
But yeah, health is always going to come down to it. NFC West is going to be tough no matter how you shake it out. Arizona's getting better. Rams are still really good, especially with Matthew Stafford. Gotta like him. Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll. I mean, whatever we think of those rumors, they're still the division winners. They're still the champs in that division. Like, you can't sleep on them. Count them out. So
I kind of think, just for the NFC West, we're talking schedule, like, and we'll get into this more later in the summer, but. Like, I kind of think that what you got last year from the Cardinals is what you're getting from them this year. Like a tough out, not an easy out, but not a dominating, overwhelming team. I don't care that you signed J.J. Watt. I don't care that you signed A.J. Green. Like, that just doesn't do it for me. But not a tough, not an easy one at all. But I think the NFC West is going to be fairly similar, because last year it felt like the NFC West, when the dust settled, like, you just had like three teams that should be in the playoffs, but none of them you felt like were going to win the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I feel about the NFC West again this year. I mean, I'm hoping the Niners look like a Super Bowl team, but I just think you're going to look at all those teams and none of them are going to be the favorite, but all four of them are going to be like, man, they all like deserve a playoff spot. The Rams would be the team I'm most worried about this year. And that might be dumb because the Seahawks over and over again have proven it. But with Matthew Stafford, I think the only thing holding them back has been Jared Goff. So those Rams games, I have circled for sure that those are the ones potentially the toughest games on the whole schedule.
Yeah, and I mean that's what the betting lines are showing right now for the NFC West. They have the Cardinals coming in last with over under 8 wins, which is now going to be below 500 with a 17th game. Mm-hmm. But they have the Rams and the Niners both at 10.5, Seahawks at 9.5. Just looking at your schedule with the 49ers, everything's staying healthy. You take an over-under 10.5.
Man. So 10.5 is really like 9.5 in previous years, right?
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, in the extra game. I mean, if everyone's healthy, yeah, I'm taking the over. If everyone's healthy, I'm taking the over. I can't imagine a really healthy 49ers team. I mean, I guess 10.5. I guess I wouldn't be shocked if they went 10-7 and they were fully healthy. That probably means Jimmy Garoppolo didn't play his best, or you had to throw Trey Lance in and it was too early. If everyone else is healthy. Anyway, if they're healthy, man, I think they're an 11 or 12 win team, which is like a 10 or an 11 win team from last year adjusted.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my bet.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. The 49ers are so tough because they seem to be the most injury prone team.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't put money on them because I don't know what you're going to get out of there. I probably wouldn't even put money on the Cowboys because they will look good on paper and then they just don't play or vice versa.
Sure.
But I might take the under on the 49ers because I think they are going to go to Trey Lance a little sooner. And I don't know that I would put money on a rookie quarterback coming in and maybe having to play some tough games at Seattle, at Arizona, at LA, win some close games. That's really tough on a rookie quarterback who may have to do a lot. So I go under, but I do think they're going to be competitive for sure in the NFC West.
If you are Coach Shanahan, do you look at the schedule? You look at those first two games. What is your line of thinking? Are you thinking, all right, we're going to start the vet, Jimmy Garoppolo, guy that we know is shouldn't lose the game for us. We're going to get 2 easy victories right away. Or do you think I have an opportunity to get Trey Lance some good game experience? I'm going to start him because I think we can win with him anyway as starting. Yeah. And then that way he really he gets those live game meaningful reps. Which is your thought process on that?
So I would back it up a little bit more because I understand a lot of people are saying Trey Lance may be a project and you draft him with an understanding that you have another good quarterback and you don't have to throw him in right away. My line of thinking is I'm not trading up to the number 3 spot for any type of project. Yeah. And I can't spend the time. I don't have the reps to give Jimmy G first string reps and Trey Lance first string reps and have 2 quarterbacks be ready. I need to go all in on one. So I'm going all in on Trey Lance right now from the start.
Interesting.
And I'll play him week 1. It's tough with Jimmy G, but I would, as a coach, just tell him I know what I have with you. You're a great quarterback. You got us to a Super Bowl. You haven't been healthy. I need to develop this new guy. He's our future. If he goes down and he doesn't play well, I need you to be ready. But I'm going all in on Trey Lance. That's a tough situation. I wouldn't want to necessarily be in to have 2 starting quarterbacks like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can develop 2 at the same time. So all in on Trey Lance.
Right. And I think you're right in that Jimmy is what he is. I don't think he could play better, but he's not going to transform. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he is developed and he just needs to make some better decisions here and there, but he is developed. I can see that. I think that you're going to see him. I think you're going to see Trey Lance play a ton in preseason. They're not incentivized to play Jimmy anyway because he's injury prone. So I think you're going to see Trey Lance playing at least 2 quarters of each 3 of those games. And you'll get an idea. I think that'll be enough. I think I was talking to you about it. I think Shanahan kind of hates Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he looks at him and is just disgusted because 2 of his seasons have been thrown away because of Jimmy Garoppolo not being able to stay healthy. So I think he's looking for reasons to put Trey Lance on the field. I don't think he's looking for reasons to start Jimmy. I think he's like, I can win with this guy. He's looking for every reason to be able to win with him. So
exactly.
Anyway,
and I listened to the John Lynch interview with PFF, and John Lynch was talking about Kyle Shanahan and how pumped he was for Trey Lance. I don't know if you heard that right, but they were coming back from the Justin Fields workout, and they were like, Justin Fields looks great. He was awesome, had a great workout, nothing against him. But they're on the plane, and Shanahan's on his iPad scribbling. He says, John, look at this. And he's drawing up plays with Trey Lance in mind. It was legitimately that movie where it's no matter what, Trey Lance, right? Yeah. So I think Kyle Shanahan really is all in on him for every reason you said. He's done with Jimmy G. He needs him there as a backup, and he's got the money tied to him. But you got to play Trey Lance here.
I think that I'm starting to come around to at least. Now, if the Jimmy starts, won't be surprised. I think it's pretty up in the air right now. We don't know enough. But there's the story of them going to Jed York asking, hey, are you okay with us trading up, drafting a guy, and keeping Jimmy on his salary. And Jake York told him, yeah, well, most people are assuming it's because they want to develop Trey Lance. I just think they're so sick of losing games because people are hurt that they're like, are you okay? We're going to put Jimmy on the bench, and he's going to just be in waiting in case something happens to Trey so that we know we have two guys we can win with because we're a good enough team to make a run, and that's how they see themselves. But it's going to be wild. And it's just I think at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to preseason games. Like, you're going to look at those preseason games. You'll get an idea in training camp. But when you throw them out in those preseason games, you're finally going to have it. You as a fan should be able to tell, like, all right, he's going to be the dude.
He's got a chance.
Or not. Yeah, he's got a chance to really be the dude. So, anyway.
Definitely going to be interesting. So, for the Dallas Cowboys, obviously their big news, opening the season, the kickoff game at Tampa Bay, that Thursday night game. Yes, you called it. You're the only one in America.
In America, that saw it coming. So, give me a job, someone.
I mean, it makes the most sense. Obviously, the Super Bowl champs are going to open and they're going to host. And then if they're playing the Cowboys, why would you not play the Cowboys, right? The Cowboys are always going to have a draw.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see them play someone else, mostly because as a Cowboy fan, I don't want to start 0-1.
Yeah.
Not feeling real confident of this game, starting as a 6-point underdog. Dak Prescott just coming off injury. Got a new defensive coordinator. You're going to be playing a lot of rookies. Who knows the health of the offensive line? Hopefully it's all there. But that's tough competition to start the season against right there. That being said, I'm excited. I have to wait, 3 less days than everyone else to watch my team play. So
that's true. That's a fun one to start. I think that while it is kind of a and you guys, I'm just looking at it now. You guys are playing in the Hall of Fame game, which means you get 4 preseason games. I didn't realize that. That's cool. I mean, I think your first 2 games are pretty tough, if I'm being honest. But then you get an easier stretch with your next handful. But I think that this week 1 for you guys is going to be better than you think. I know that emotions are going to be running high. I'm not necessarily picking you to win, but emotions are going to be running high. But I really do believe in that Super Bowl hangover thing. And I know it's Tom Brady, but you got a lot of young guys who just won the Super Bowl. Yeah. Not like seasoned vets who know how to handle themselves, who've been there before. Like I could see the Cowboys sneaking up on them. I think that as a fan too, this is something I forgot to mention. Like, I would always want to start my season off on the road, always, because it's just different. Like, it's one less game that you played a game the week before, and then now you have to travel and fly. Like, you can fly there early if you want.
Okay.
Like, your body's fresh. That travel isn't nearly the same as it is later in the season, just because it's the first week of the season. So I'm always all about starting on the road. So I think that it's not going to be an easy atmosphere to be in Tampa Bay, but I don't think anyone's ever accused Tampa Bay of being one of the more raucous crowds in you know what I mean? So yeah. I think that you guys are going to I think Dak is going to come out and be strong. And anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I don't think it's going to be a snooze fest. I don't know how to play out, but I think that not enough people are giving Dallas a chance to really come out and make some noise.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think that offense will be competitive. Obviously, the concern when you're coming off your worst defensive season ever, you just fired your defensive coordinator. Now, I think they massively upgraded with both Dan Quinn and some of their draft picks and their free agents that they brought in. But you're going to be playing some rookies, some young guys in a new system with still a weird offseason because of COVID against Tom Brady, who's the best quarterback of all time, right? Yeah. And he can pick that stuff apart. Not to mention Bruce Arians and that offense. They know what they're doing. So, yeah, it'll be tough, but I do expect it to be competitive. I'll call it 0-1 right there. So we'd be stealing a game if they get that one. What gets interesting is if you look at the schedule, the first half isn't necessarily easy by any stretch. But the back half of the Cowboys at Kansas City, at New Orleans, at Washington, at Giants, home Washington, home Arizona, at Philly to end it. Really, you only have Las Vegas right in the middle there. That makes it somewhat easy. Those are all tough games. Drew Brees retired, but you're still going to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Still going to be a tough team. Washington football team is arguably the best team, if not definitely the best defense that they're going to play all year, and they have to play them twice within 3 weeks. So I'm looking at that schedule, and I'd like to chalk up a lot of dubs there, but I could, if you want the Cowboys to reach their benchmark of like 10-7, which is about where they're predicted, they're going to need to start the season like 7-1, which means they go 3-6 on the back end, right? And like, even if you win the division like that, you're backing into the playoffs. It's not looking good, but you can run down the schedule.
Yeah, but you have
and not a lot of it looks very good.
I'm seeing so
let's run through it.
Okay, so Tampa Bay is tough. That's a tough game.
Call it a loss.
Probably a loss. At the Chargers, like brand new head coach, dude. Not an easy game, but I would call this a toss-up. Like, I don't know the Cowboys as well as you. What's tough is that it's on the road, but guess what? The Chargers have no fans in LA. That's going to be a home game for you guys. So, I mean, it's a toss-up. They're a really good roster. I just don't know what to make of their new head coach. But I would call it a toss-up. I would defer to you on that.
So I would call that a win. Let's look at they have 6 games before the Week 7 bye. How many do we think are going to be losses? Tampa Bay, I think they beat the Chargers. I think they should beat Philly. They should beat Carolina. They should beat the Giants. And then at New England, I mean, they don't play well at New England. I don't know what New England's going to be, but I would call that, let's just, to be safe, there's 2 losses out of those first 6 games. That's 4-2. Then at Minnesota, Denver.
That's a tough.
And Atlanta.
At Minnesota is tough. Minnesota, I think, is going to be a good team this year.
So those next 3, let's call it 2 wins. I think Denver and Atlanta are gonna be better, but you should win those, right?
No, especially if Atlanta trades Julio and Denver is still rolling with Drew Lock or Bridgewater. Like, you feel pretty good, especially because that game's at home.
So that's 6-3. And now you're going to Kansas City. This is where the fun starts, right?
That's a loss.
That's a loss. 6-4. Beat Las Vegas.
I would give you Las Vegas.
7-4, and then find me, legitimately find me 3 wins in that last stretch. I think you're going to have to play your best. Best football.
So in that last stretch, you're going to beat Philly week 18. I would imagine you beat Philly week 18. I think you're going to take one from Washington.
Okay.
I can give you one from Washington. Washington's a great defense, but they're also like a young team that hasn't proven much. I know they won. They went to the playoffs last year, but that didn't really do much for anybody. Even if you don't, though, like, you should beat the Giants. I just don't believe in the Giants. You got to feel good about it. And dude, even look, man, it makes a difference that Drew Brees is not there in New Orleans. I know it's a tough place to play, but the Saints, man, are without Drew Brees are much different. Now, the bigger problem, the reason this game really does feel like an uphill battle is it's a Thursday night on the road. That's why it feels so tough for you. So that would be tough.
But it's after the Thanksgiving Thursday night.
Oh, okay.
So you still have a full week.
So they give you a full week. And dude, I don't like, maybe it's just because I'm biased, but like, is Cliff Kingsbury the guy? Like, what? Like you guys get the Cardinals at home.
The Cardinals stomped the Cowboys last year.
They did last year on Monday night.
That was without Dak Prescott. That was the first week without Dak Prescott. Maybe you give him that, but that was a beatdown.
Dude,
for sure.
All I know is the 49ers, and I know I'm bringing it back to the 49ers. Week 16, the Cardinals had playoff spots on the line. We started CJ freaking Beathard and beat them and like manhandled them. And this is what I think about Cliff Kingsbury is I think he schemes well and he designs some good plays, but he can't make in-game adjustments. And I could be wrong, and someone out there could show me where he does, but like you see his play calling get worse as the season goes on, and like in the middle of games, you see it get worse as people are starting to figure out what he does. And so by the end of the season, man, like I don't know. I think last year the Cardinals started off hot, and then all of a sudden in their last 4 or 5 games, they looked really underwhelming. So I'm not trying to defend the Cowboys because I hate the Cowboys, but I'm just saying like I also think the NFL, it's better for the NFL when they're good. What saves you is Drew Brees is retired. While Washington is going to be good, and if we did our episode today, like I would pick them to win the division. I also don't think they're the kind of team that is just sweeping the division. So.
Yeah, and my point isn't necessarily that the Cowboys are just going to bomb, but I think there's just no margin for error because I think if they lose some of these games that they're supposed to win, that we're chalking up W's right now, or where they're favored, if they drop some of those, a 10-7 is quickly going to be an 8-9,
and
a 7-10, and you're out of the playoffs, which is kind of what the Cowboys have been doing recently,
historically,
right?
Yeah.
They're not winning all the games they need to, and then they need to steal some games too, because really 7-9 won the division last year. I don't think everybody is that much better to where you have to be 11-6. And by the way, I hate doing math to 17 now,
so
dude.
Much.
It's killing me.
I hate it so much. I agree. I mean, I don't think. Again, I don't think Washington all of a sudden is like a Super Bowl contender. I wouldn't put them there, but I think they're better because they literally have had the worst quarterback play, some of the worst quarterback play in the NFL, it feels like. And they finally have a guy who, like, Fitzpatrick was like an above average quarterback last year when he was in. And it was wild that Tua was starting over him partway through the season. At some point, Fitzpatrick has to drop off. But even if he drops off, like I would put in Fitzpatrick over Taylor Heineke, right? So I would think that 10-7, which because there's an extra playoff team every year now, like I think 10-7, 10 wins is still the mark to get into the playoffs. Like that's how I feel. I think 10-7 would win your division.
Yeah, and I think that's accurate, and that's what the betting odds have. So to go to that. They do have Cowboys winning the division with 9-5. That's their over/under. And then you got the football team at 8, Giants at 7, Eagles at 6-5. So lower end compared to the NFC West, but still competitive where we kind of expect it to be. Yeah, I don't know that the Giants are going to make this big jump. I think what helps the Cowboys playing the football team with Fitzpatrick, they're better, but he does tend to drop off towards the end of the year. Just historically, and they play him both like twice in 3 weeks, right towards the end of the year. So you may be able to figure out Ryan Fitzpatrick. You'll have more tape on him by then. But that defense, man, is still pretty scary.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. I love that you guys are playing in December in Washington, a cold weather game. I love those cold weather games. And then you go to the Giants right after that, another cold weather game. But no, you're right. It's I think you're going to see the NFC East be competitive again, even if it's not for all the right reasons. But you're going to get near the end of the season, and it's still going to be really close. I'll tell you, the Cowboys game that I'm probably most excited for is your guys' home opener, Week 3, Monday night against the Eagles, because that's while I think
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson. While I think the Eagles are not going to be very good, you still don't know for sure because maybe Jalen Hurts really is a dude and he just didn't get enough chance to prove it. So I think that game is where usually you're going to see teams go either they're both. If I had to take a guess, you guys are going to be 1-1. Philly might be 1-1, and then 1-2 sounds a heck of a lot worse than 2-1. And so to me, it's just like Monday night, and it feels like there's a little bit of you're kind of going to see what path each team is on. And so I think that's going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, love any NFC East game for sure. If I had to pick one I'm most excited for outside of the Thursday night kickoff, just because that's the first game of the year,
Sure.
I'm looking at the Week 11 at Kansas City game.
Okay.
If I'm an optimist, I'm thinking the Cowboys have a winning record. They're leading in their division, and then you're going up against the premier AFC team. You're going to have a chance to see, like, are you guys really contenders, or are you just going to limp into the playoffs and not really have any sort of shot, right? I'm not saying they're going to win, but I would love just a very competitive, great game where it says, hey, the Cowboys are here. The Cowboys are a good team. Take them seriously. And even if they lose 35-30, 35-28, right, something like that, it keeps it competitive and it shows,
Sure,
it's just playoffs.
It's a good measuring stick to see kind of where you guys are at, especially that late in the season. Like, you are what you are. You're done figuring stuff out by week 11. Exactly. You should be, at least. So yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So we talked about our teams. Obviously, now we're at 17 games. Looking across the board, not necessarily getting into schedules. If you have to pick who's the top in the AFC, who's the top in the NFC, what teams are we looking at?
Well, I mean, in the AFC, it's obvious. I think the Chiefs. So I'm going to give you a reason why they're the top, and then a reason why maybe they're not. The reason they're the top is because they improved their offensive line. Mm-hmm. Like, they're smart. They said, hey, this was our biggest problem in the Super Bowl. We're going to take care of business. Yeah. Let's go do it. So they literally changed their entire offensive line, if I recall correctly. Yeah. And so on paper, they should be better. I just think it's hard to operate at that high of a level for a long, sustained period of time. So the Chiefs are definitely a playoff team. But if you told me the Chiefs took a step back for whatever reason and went 12-5 or 11-6 and like still won the division, but they weren't the 1 seed, like, I wouldn't be shocked, because it's difficult. It's difficult to do that. Like, even the Patriots were going 11-5 and 10-6 at times. Even then, they get into the playoffs and they dominate. But I wouldn't be shocked. Now, the thing about and what would do that to them is if the Chargers make a huge step forward with the talented roster they have, then I could see the Chiefs dropping an extra game, or heck, even 2. Like, you just never know in the division. But I'm rolling with the Chiefs. The Bills, I think, are still a close second. And I'm telling you right now, if the Titans land Julio Jones, I'm going to be pretty high on the Titans. But those would be my top 3 teams in the AFC, like, over the Ravens. I'm still not as big on the Ravens as I think some people are, but those would be my top 3.
Yeah, hard to disagree there. The other team I would just throw in there is the Cleveland Browns. Their defense was their weak point, and they got better on defense through the draft and through some free agents. Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett can be a pretty interesting force. Clowney's not the same guy he was, but make no mistake, he can still play and make some impact plays. And I like their draft picks. It'll be tough because they're in the same division as the Ravens, and I would expect the Bengals to be a little bit better if Joe Burrow stays healthy. I don't think the Steelers are going to be as good as they were last year, so that's where they may step up there. But yeah, that would probably be the only other team I would throw in there on the AFC.
Like, worth mentioning, yeah. I want the Chargers to be that good. I want them to be. Yeah. I just think with now they're making a step in the right direction without Anthony Lynn. I don't know what this new coach will be, but Justin Herbert's the real deal. If Eckler can stay healthy, and Keenan Allen, and if Derwin James will stay healthy, which he hasn't been able to, like, they could make some noise. They could be that shocking team, but I think it's
about them getting Julio Jones as well.
Dude, that would make a lot of sense for them too. If I'm the Chargers, I would be all in. Keenan Allen and Julio Jones would be dynamic. But you're probably going to see a lot of what you saw last year from the AFC. That's what I think.
Yeah. I think the NFC always is going to be a toss-up. I think it's tough to predict because who knows what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Especially since Green Bay, was the 1 seed last year with them. If he's there and if he's playing, there's no reason to think they're not going to be the 1 seed again. Right up there with them. Tampa Bay, of course, although, I think that's kind of how they play in the regular season. Like, they're not always fighting for that 1 seed. Yeah. Although they should be able to win their division this time. And then I think the NFC West is going to beat themselves up to keep them a little low, and the NFC East is trash. So if I had to put money on it, I think I'd give it to Tampa Bay still on the edge. Just like a slight, like 11-6 kind of beats out some people, and I just have no idea what's going to happen with Green Bay.
So you think they're going to be the 1 seed? Is that kind of what you're saying? If you had to choose today?
If I had to choose today, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the safer bet because we don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. You and I were texting earlier this week. I don't think he's going to be in Green Bay.
Yeah.
I think he's petty enough that he's just ready to be done. But if he's there, then I'm putting it on Green Bay. You mentioned Tampa, and then I hate to say it, but I think the Rams are going to be pretty good. I think the Rams are going to be pretty good. I think McVay is a heck of a coach, and he's so sick of underperforming because of his quarterback. So he fixed that problem. So I think they're going to be good. I don't know if I'd put money on them to win the NFC, but if we got to the end of the year and they were 12-5 or shoot even 13-4, like I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be like, yeah, they've freaking spent the capital. They've been aggressive. Like this is what they've been waiting for. So I wouldn't be shocked. I'm pretty high on the Niners. Like I'm not to the point where I'd put money on them just because of the injury factor. But if they're healthy, if they do stay healthy, I think you'll get to week 13, 14, and they'll be in the mix as one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the NFC.
Yeah.
Or top 5 teams at least. But I mean, I can go on about 2019 as much as I want, but the reality is since Shanahan and Lynch have been there, they've had 1 winning season. So you got to temper your expectations. And while I can blame the injuries, maybe it's just the way they practice. Maybe it's something they're doing that is causing them to be more beat up. I don't know. I just know that when they've managed to stay healthy, they've been really good. So I'm optimistic, but the Rams are got to be one of the teams to beat. So
yeah, I think that's fair. And I think what's interesting is that the AFC, we mentioned just a couple teams that could be at the top, where I think you're going to have to go like maybe 14-3, 13-4 to win that division or win the conference. Whereas in the NFC, 12-5, heck, even 11-6 could do it because there seems to be some parity across the board, or nobody that's just going to run away with that conference.
Well, if you look at now, I know some teams are going to get worse, but I'm just thinking of teams that I think are going to be better. Like I think both the Vikings and Bears are going to be better. I do, especially if Justin Fields can come in and play well. Like I think they're going to be better. I think the Vikings definitely are better. I'm high on Washington, but I am assuming Dak Prescott's ankle isn't going to fall off this year, so I think Dallas is going to be better. It feels like the NFC is getting better, not worse. So
yeah, definitely, man. So we're excited for the season to come up. Still so much to talk about, but we are going to save that for some other episodes. Obviously, moves with Julio Jones, where we think Aaron Rodgers is going to go. Tim Tebow, is he the real deal? Is he what's going to save Jacksonville? We will tease that and save that for some future episodes. So thanks for tuning in, sports fans. Always good to be back on the mic, in front of the camera, talking some football.
Yep, we love it. We've got plenty to talk about, so stay tuned with us for the rest of this summer as we prepare you for the 2021 NFL season, guys.
Absolutely. Until next time.